tall ship used in adventure movies, a terrifying real-life drama, and a very dangerous rescue operation. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
This is CNN Breaking News.
The worst is yet to come from Hurricane Sandy. Here's what we know. At this moment, the center of this monstrous storm, which has brutally pounded much of the eastern seaboard of the United States, could come ashore this hour. New Jersey is bearing the brunt of that attack right now. The governor, Chris Christie, will hold a news conference in 30 minutes. We'll bring it to you live. The powerful winds, the torrential rain, the storm surges, they are wreaking havoc from North Carolina all the way to Maine. The area of tropical storm force winds extends almost, get this, 1,000 miles. Many coastal towns have been evacuated. Major cities are completely shut down. New York City alone could face catastrophic flooding. More than 765,000 customers already are without power in 7 states. Tens of millions could face blackouts lasting for days. Our reporters are standing by throughout the disaster area to bring you the story the way only CNN can. Let's go to Atlantic City, New Jersey, right now, which is bearing so much of the brunt of the storm at this hour. Parts of the city already underwater, barely visible, forcing authorities to evacuate hundreds of people from areas where flooding is said to be dangerously high. Casinos are cleared out, and less than an hour from now, the entire city will be under curfew, a mandatory curfew bracing for the worst. Let's go straight to the streets of Atlantic City. Allie Belshi is standing by. Allie, it could make landfall within minutes right now. Give us a little flavor of what you're seeing. It looks awful.
Well, we talked a few minutes ago. It's actually, I think we're catching a break in one of the bands before this is probably the calm before the storm, because as you know, the last time I talked to you, it was hard to actually stand up. So you can dramatically increase police presence around here, making sure nobody's on the streets, because it's 6 o'clock Eastern, 1 hour from now. They want everybody who doesn't have a reason to be outside inside their home. You heard from the mayor, who said a number of people haven't left. That worries them, but at this point, if you haven't left, don't go out. You probably can't get out of Atlantic City anyway because the roads have become overwashed. That's the ocean behind me. You've actually got a bunch of guys playing around in it, as you can see. Not the ocean. That's the intersection. The ocean is about 3/4 of a mile behind that. These guys are enjoying themselves. They've got 55 minutes left to enjoy themselves because the police are going to come and clear everybody out. But the fact is, Wolf, this tells you a bit of a story, because less than an hour ago, you couldn't be outside here having a good time. It was really severe. So maybe Chad knows more about this than I do, but something has definitely broken here because we're expecting that it's going to get much worse before it gets better. We're getting a lot more water in the streets, as you can see. We're at 7 feet. We're expecting a 9.5-foot storm surge, so most of Atlantic City will be covered in water in the next couple of hours.
Allie, stand by. Chad Myers, our severe meteorologist, is
what's the
joining
matter?
us. You got the latest report from the National Hurricane Center, Chad?
I do. It's still 35 miles from the coast, or 30 miles from the coast, around Cape May. Now, that would be south of where Allie
Washington
is,
has a problem.
right on the north side, which would be the most dangerous part of the eye. It would be the eye wall making landfall, and you have to add in the forward motion of the storm, so 90 plus 28. The good news is, for Atlantic City, there's no eye wall there. The convection, the rainfall, the storms have stopped. So that's why the winds have died down, and I will show you on the next map, there's not much rainfall on that side of the storm. The storm has just about come on shore. Let's say half of it's onshore, half of it's off. But the part that's still off doesn't have any storm on it. Doesn't have convection, doesn't have weather there, so there's not as much wind with that part. That's good. Now that the wind is beginning to die off, it will continue to die off in most places. We always knew that this storm wasn't going to be a huge wind maker as it moves on shore. It's going to be a wind maker inland when you start to add in the cold air that's already here. Look, well, it's already raining here, all the way through Virginia, but it's snowing back into West Virginia, there's parts of Virginia, and also even into Kentucky. This is the cold part of the storm that will wrap its way into the warm part of the storm where Allie is, and that's when it turns into the winter event. I just got a report off Twitter from a couple guys north of Washington, D.C. They feel sleet in the air in the rain that's coming down. That's how cold and dry the air is that's wrapping into the storm right now.
You have a question, Chad, for Allie, who's on the streets of Atlantic City right now?
Where did those three guys come from that were dancing behind him? Because they should be off the streets and into a house somewhere. That is certainly not the place to be. Allie, you going to be okay tonight?
It is. Yeah, I got to tell you, the flavor of this thing has changed. I mean, look, I just got a gust a moment ago, but the flavor has been changed in the last hour. An hour ago, this felt, and Chad, you were keeping a tab on what it felt like, but I felt like the gusts were above 90 miles an hour. It was really blowing me. I'm about 185, 190 pounds, and I really felt like I couldn't keep my footing. You got a gust coming through right now, and then it stops, and then I can stand here and talk to you peacefully, and the rain feels more like a heavy rain as opposed to what it felt like. So the flavor of this has changed. I'm telling you, an hour ago, those three guys wouldn't have ventured out into the street behind me. You saw that wind blowing up all that water. These streets are all full of water, by the way, for the mile out to the ocean now. It's all water everywhere you go. And it was whipping up. So there's something that has definitely changed here. And thank you, Chad, for your inquiries. And Wolf, we do have to remind our viewers that it's important to show people how serious it is, because we know people have it on their home. In many cases, you have to treat it seriously. We are keeping an eye on it. We'll be okay out here.
Alex Sandy Endo is joining us from Ocean City, Maryland right now. Tell us what's going on, Sandy, where you are.
Well, we're certainly feeling severe wind gusts here in Ocean City, and as Chad mentioned, the rain does feel a little different. It is feeling like heavier pelting, like almost sleet hitting me in the face. But I want to show you what we're also experiencing here, Walt, is we're actually seeing damage from all the effects of Hurricane Sandy already. Take a look at the debris over there. The black tar is actually a rooftop that was blown over by that white building, which is right across the street from the hotel that we are hunkering down in through this storm. And we just want to give you a perspective of what is actually going on out here and how severe the storm is right now. This has been more than 24 hours of this condition. Rain, the wind.
All right, looks like we've...
Surf, the rough waves.
Sandy, I don't know if we've lost connection with you, but go ahead if you can still hear me.
Yeah, Wolf, the waves, as I was mentioning, because this is a coastal waterfront town, if you can see, high tide is going to be hitting in about an hour or so, and these waves have been fierce, eroding this beach all day long. We've seen the sand dunes being toppled over by waves and flooding in this area. So the situation could worsen as the evening progresses, but right now, this is severe in terms of the wind and some of the damage we're seeing, flying debris as well. So we are certainly going to get out of harm's way. I'm using this tree as a little safe haven here to protect me and the crew. We're certainly trying to stay safe out here. But again, echoing Chad and Allie, the characteristic of this storm is certainly changing, and Hurricane Sandy is definitely being felt.
Yeah, Sandy Endo's in Ocean City, Maryland, the left part of the screen. Allie Velshi is in Atlantic City, New Jersey, just north of Ocean City. On the right part of the screen, you see it's obviously a lot more windy in Ocean City right now than it is in Atlantic City. Chad Myers is still with us as well. Chad, the landfall, the area where this Hurricane Sandy makes landfall, that's not necessarily going to be the area where the worst disaster is going to take place. It could take place other parts of the Atlantic seaboard, right?
Certainly. We have had 81-mile-per-hour winds in Massachusetts. Many trees down already. That's 250 miles from where the storm is. And let me just